afternoon. I'm Angel Kleiman, and I'm the director of the Rosemary Duffy Larson Gallery. And today, you will hear from the amazing artist whose solo exhibition, those of us still living, that's in the gallery right now. He will speak about his work. I know we have a lot of questions already. So everyone, please welcome Jim Arendt.
Hello everybody, thanks for having me tonight. My name is Jim Arendt, and I'm going to walk you through some of the work that I do when I'm not in galleries tonight. And I'm going to leave some time in the gallery later on if you have any questions about how-to stuff. You're welcome to approach me then. Usually I like to introduce people to my work by saying a little bit about where I'm from. This is one time the tallest building in Flint, Michigan. If you've heard of Flint, you've heard of some of our trials as a city. I grew up outside of Flint, Michigan in the 1980s, which was a time when General Motors and the UAW were at war. A lot of factories were closing down. I saw a lot of painful things that will send you off to art school. I hope many of you have run off to art school for similar reasons. It was so bad that when I turned to my parents and said, I think I want to pursue the arts, they said, good luck. They didn't say no, to their credit. Flint has actually rebounded quite a bit since I was a child, so I'd encourage everybody to take a visit. If you've heard of us, you've heard of our trials with our water issue, but you'll be happy to know that Flint now has the cleanest drinking water in the entire country, so if you visit, you'll be welcome with open arms and clean water. Now, when I grew up, unfortunately, what happened is they outsourced about 80,000 jobs, and so it was a really rough time for people. We developed euphemisms for unemployment and foreclosure. We would tell people if somebody was unemployed, we would say things like, I'm on permanent vacation, right? So you could wait for the jobs to come back, which they had always come back, and so we're kind of used to that type of ebb and flow of economic activity where I'm from. When I ran off to art school, kicking the dust off my small town, off my shoes, I thought, I'm going to get out of here, I'm going to study the arts, it's going to be awesome, and I've spent my entire career in adult activity modeling a universe of people that I come from. When I was a painting student, I wanted to study anything that people would teach me, and so I was like a little sponge at art school. I loved learning. It was a great place to be. I was surrounded by people who were enthusiastic about the things that they knew and they wanted to share them with them. And I was like, give me. I love this stuff. And so I studied painting and drawing at first. You'll see a lot of my painting and drawing skills kind of still on display. But I had a painting instructor in graduate school ask me, hey, what do you think? I had to imitate him. I can't do it right unless I imitate him. What do you think paint means? I don't fucking know what paint is. That is 23! I just want to make better paintings. I don't know what it means. But it planted a seed of an idea around materials and their meaning. I'm going to plant that same seed for you tonight to send you off on tangents and quests. When I thought about what oil painting meant, I thought about who oil painting was depicting. Anybody shout out two things that oil paint's famous for depicting? Who do we see in oil paintings?
Space? Are you talking about like elements?
No, the rich people. Rich people. And fictional rich people, like gods, right? And so the people I came from, unfortunately, were neither gods nor rich people, for the most part. And so I started to quest around for materials that were more resonant with their lives. That has led me down many rabbit holes with steep learning curves. Dinner is one of those avenues that I chose to explore because it's a working class material, regardless of its fashion status from year to year. Jordache notwithstanding. I grew up with a mom who bought me Wranglers with a sagebrush in the Kmart parking lot and put 2 fingers in the back of my jeans to make sure that there was room to grow into them, so she would wiggle my butt. Anybody have a mom who wiggled their butt to make sure that there was time? Yeah. So I started to gravitate towards materials that I thought resonated more with people that I grew up with. Not as a way to kind of like exploit them or humiliate them. I'm really kind of a sincerity junkie. I like to depict people as they are, warts and all, and the material kind of lends itself to that. So me and the material are kind of collaborators in this endeavor. Denim has its own inherent meanings, things like class, things like work, style, you know, the right pair of jeans and boots, you can go out just about anywhere.
Excuse me, can you go back to the last one? Is this paint on denim, or is this different denim that you're creating?
The question is this paint on denim? That's a question I actually get quite a bit. No! It is a palette of acid wash white to Wrangler blue. So as a painter, what you do is you recognize it's like, oh, here's a series of values in monochrome that I can exploit. And so as you see stacks of jeans at the mall or Old Navy or whatever, it started to look like paint to me. And it was the type of thing that I knew how to manipulate. You could mass in forms and do all sorts of stuff. I'm going to show you some of the secrets of my success in this talk tonight. We're not going to talk about the work we're going to see over here. I'm going to show you how it's made. I'm going to show you what I've done with it. I'm going to tell you what it means for me and my life as an artist. So here's my studio practice. Always get studio assistants. If you can't afford studio assistants, this was a dirty little secret when I was in school, you can make your own. It's a long-term project, really, but they're coming along nicely. This one is about to run off to film school. This one, oh, so cute, so cute. It's 10 now, so about to start middle school. Pray for us. This is where I make my work. This is my one-car garage. I'm doing triage on a stuffed animal here at some of my industrial sewing machines, you know, so when you're working in the studio, really the thing that made me gravitate towards sewing is it didn't take 8 hours to get started. I could pick up scissors, I could put down scissors, I could help raise my kids. I'm a 90s type of guy. You're 90s types of guys. We help with the emotional labor of raising families. We do the dishes. I even try to cook every once in a while. I mean, it's amazing, right? This is my favorite sewing machine, and so I made a movie about it. Oh, it's a little quiet, which is actually quite good. It's not going to play through the television, I don't think. But it's got sound. It's very dramatic. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. Just imagine. I can hear it. I don't know if you can hear it. I bought this sewing machine for $59. It's 70 years old.
It's all metal.
It's all metal.
No plastic.
The sewing machine purists are out there. It's all metal. This machine will sew through anything. Whatever I've thrown at it, it's been a real workhorse. But what I like about it most is that I've given it a second life. A lot of my materials, a lot of my studio endeavors are about extending the value of things, extending the values of people's stories, extending the value of the materials that I work with, extending the values of the equipment that I use. To other people's, this is a bodega, and so I like to adopt things into my studio. Here it is again. This is my studio practice. People are always like, oh, well, you must have a nice lordly. No, I work in one-car garage. It has no windows. I open up the door and I squint in my endeavors and I say, does that look like a person yet? Yes or no? If it doesn't, you just keep working. And the poster of Britney Spears is not mine. I'm not a creep. It is a poster of Britney Spears that my students gave me with Jimisms, quotes. Things, I think it says things like unicorn shit glitter. You know, it's just, and this was their gift to me at the end of the year. And I was so proud of my students. I hung it up in the studio. I've worked in two-dimensional. Now I'm a sculptor. Who knew? I sit on Tri-State Sculptures. I'm on the board of the secretary this year. Who knew that this was going to happen? I studied painting. A lot of this is like forensic reconstruction. If you've ever watched CSI or any of the other murder shows, right? There's always a reconstruction. If you've ever seen the little pegs of clay, those little pegs of clay actually represent the depth of muscle material above a certain area in this skeleton. And so that's how they know how to make the face look the way they do. They put those clays and say, oh, it's this deep of muscle, and then they conform the rest of the clay to the face. Very similar process here. This is Christine. She was our department admin. A lot of my work is made possible by the expertise and help of other people. This is my CNC crew in the theater department, who one summer I said, hey, you've got a computer numerically controlled table that will cut things. I'm going to get my department to buy a box cutter. And I'm going to strap it to your router, and I'm going to make things out of cardboard, another material that's kind of got an interesting kind of everyday visibility to it. And they helped me get up to speed. A lot of those finished works look a little bit like this. This is a quick video of me kind of putting together some of the finished figures and covering them in denim. I'm using resin here because I wanted it to essentially be like fiberglass. It dries hard, makes them very durable. It's not very stinky. I sourced the material, so it's very low toxicity to me. There used to be macho artist students. We smoked in the painting studio. They're all dead now. Be safe with your materials. This is Angelica. Angelica is made from slice-form cardboard. This is technology that just about anybody could get into. This is phototelemetry, where I was using photographs to build three-dimensional models with some free software. And then I was using another piece of software to say, if this was cardboard, what would it look like? And it said, it looks like this. And I said, okay, if I want to put that on a CNC machine, what does that look like? And I said, oh, it's like this. And then I got other people to assemble it for me, as you do, because when you grow up in a working class community, based on the Industrial Revolution, you notice things like the division of labor and assembly processes, and you learn how to do that stuff. And so my work is predicated on those processes a little bit, sometimes. That's Angelica, assembling Angelica, very meta. And here's those pieces. These were all student workers in my department. Anybody here have a work study job? You don't have to raise your hand and look yourself right now. Thank you for your service. We can't run without you, and we pay you terribly. So I hope you're getting a raise this year. And so this was work about that. Recent works that are not on display here at a power company. In my community, a coal-fired power plant, they were closing up shop and dismantling the plant. I said, what a great idea for art. Let's talk about the slumber of labor, right? These big industrial sites, as they go away, as our economy changes. I've been through that. What does that look like?
Is that building burning?
That building is on fire. But it's not directly on fire, it's a coal-fired power plant. So it's actually producing steam to produce electrical power.
Oh, I thought all those lights were flames.
Just about. It's a good interpretation, I like that. Yes, it's on fire. Burns my soul. Here's the site of the coal-fired power plant. You can see in the top here, the floodplain that the coal-fired power plant existed in. They wanted to bury the coal ash from the fire plant there. We got together as a community and sued them and said, you better take this cancerous stuff out of our town. They said, nah, it'll be fine. We're going to put a tarp on it. And I said, that doesn't sound like a good plan. This floods all the time. So I got together with people in my community. And the real art of this project was actually learning how to talk to corporations. I saw Running Fence once, which I hope your art historians will show you. It's a documentary about a big installation piece out in California in the 1980s by Christoph and Jean-Claude, thank you very much. Co-collaborators in making big projects happen. What I learned in that documentary is you should bribe people to make things happen in the art world. If you want to carry off something big, you have to learn how to ask. And so rhetoric, the skillful use of language, is a tool that artists have to learn how to do. So I called my power company and I said, hey, every day for 4 months while I'm casting the hands that you see behind me right now, 2 hands in the morning, 2 hands in the evening, coming out of molds made with concrete, filled with coal ash, which was the power company's eventual plan for that coal ash, was to lock it up in concrete. I said, would you maybe give me somebody to talk to? Is there somebody there that I could speak to about how to get some coal for a product I want to do? And the skillful part of this was, how do I ask this question in a way that they can't say no? Because it's very easy to say, you crazy artist, go away. So I had to learn how to say, is there someone there I can talk to? Is there someone in this department that might be available to respond to my requests? Eventually, they got so annoyed with me, they kicked me up to a VP and said, what do you want?
Would you go away? We will not sell it to you. We will not lease it to you. You cannot borrow it. You cannot steal it. But we will deliver it where you would like it. You just have to give it back to us at the end. So suddenly, me and the coal company are talking about ways to use art to talk about the transmission of power from individuals to corporations. And that's what this piece is about. It's a piece called Repose. I'm making the one pile. Repose refers to, here I like, it's both slumber, but it's also an engineering term for the way in which granular material slopes when you pile it up. So every pile of coal or sand or salt has an angle of repose. I like the double meaning there. So I did this part, they did the other part, and together we made some art, which was kind of fun. I put their name on the plaque. I said, "Thank you very much, Santee Cooper Corporation, for your support and all your employees who endeavored to do this with me." And they were artists all of a sudden, which was a lot of fun to talk about. And again, this talks about how power is transmitted in a society. Electrical power, political power, societal power. Where does power come from? What's the type of piece that raises those types of questions? Roadwork. I put this prompt in there. You'd think I know what it means. Let's see what's the next slide. Oh yeah! I also work in road signs. Some of our recent work includes Department of Transportation variable message signs, which you can purchase at a real bargain at government surplus auctions. So if you go to governmentsurplus.com, you can buy a bulldozer or a fire truck or a DOT variable message sign at really reasonable rates. If you want to, it's like eBay for the government. So I bought some. They didn't work. I didn't know that, but they didn't work. Some of them came with messages on them. Here's a couple sitting in my driveway. The one on this side I'm working on, I'm trying to compose highway haikus of my own endeavor here and get these old machines working back then. I stripped out the old battery packs. I had to do a bunch of janky Millennium Falcon wiring, trying to bring solar panels that's been from 1993 technology to something that I could work with today. And so I learned a lot doing this, just like everything else. There's a steep learning curve to material, but what I noticed was if I want to speak to people, not just in galleries, but actually out where people are, this is a great way to do it. And what's nice about it is it has the power of municipal government behind it, so people kind of cock their heads sideways like this and look at it, and they're telling me to merge right. Wait, no, what? What? And they get that kind of weirded out dog look, where they're just a little confused. And I like to put little subversive messages on there that hopefully point to truth. And I use the borrowed authority of municipal government, that we see these things all the time, in order to speak to a wider public as an artist. Sometimes they're subversive messages, sometimes they're just nice things. It's nice to have a nice, people like you. If you're wandering around out in public and you're not sure, here's a sign. Everybody's always asking for a sign. The weird part about this is it flashes people like you 3 different ways. It blinks people, it blinks like, and it blinks you on 3 different occurrences. So that the sign kind of emphasizes different words. It's like people like you, people like you, or people like you. So it's a nice way to kind of emphasize different aspects of the meaning. And what's nice is they're solar powered, they're autonomous. You can pull them around and show them in different places. This is at UNC Charlotte, I think, in North Carolina. And so that's what I like to do. I like to try to get out. I've been a gallery artist for years and years and years, and you're going to enjoy some of my gallery work, I hope, in just a few minutes. But I like to haul these things down the road and show them to people as well. All right, so how do you get to be me? Secrets of my success. This is the best part. If you're a student, I'm going to spill the beans. This is how you become a successful artist. Ha-ha! I'm not an artist all the time. Sometimes I'm a teacher. Teaching comes with a paycheck. That's always nice. But there are other ways to make money as an artist. Most artists work to build all sorts of different revenue streams to allow them to do the creative things they really enjoy doing. I have as well. Some people, I've painted houses, I've fixed rocks, I've done automotive repair. I can do a lot of different things. When you get really good at art, the people eventually say, could you tell us how to do it? And so now that's like my day job. This is my real audience though. I love you guys, but 7-year-olds are the best art audience in the whole world because they raise their hands and they ask questions. I see you guys. I see you guys out there. 7-year-olds have no fear. They don't know that they can't draw hands yet. I love it. Just fearless art makers. Be fearless like 7-year-olds. I'm always like using images and exploiting people. Because I do that, I'm like, oh, if I ever do an image of myself, I'm going to do it as the most vulnerable. I think I beat Jason Segel to this and Forgetting Sarah Marshall, where he's broken up too when he's naked. But this is the transformation of a working class boy into a world class professor. And so I am covered with genuine rhinestones as I shed my cicada skin in the most vulnerable way possible. And so everybody knows that there's nothing true about rhinestones, right? They just sparkle. They have no value whatsoever. Seems perfect for a self-portrait. This is owned by the Arkansas Museum of Contemporary Craft. I miss it. Sometimes your artwork shows up in sci-fi movies. And people go see the sci-fi movies, and your artwork is in a sci-fi movie. That's kind of a fun way to be an artist. I didn't know that was going to happen when I was studying in undergrad. Sometimes you enter a competition and you win the big prize, and the town comes out and says, "You're wonderful. Please accept this novelty check for $50,000. I said, "This is great." Right? Student loans, credit card. It was really fun for 20 minutes. I was paid off a bunch of debt that I had accumulated. And not always do you win. This is me losing. This is my partner in crime, painter Yvette Cummings. And this is our infant, Zach, who's 6 weeks old. I am losing $10,000 to the amazing artist, Sonia Clark. I'm going to show you Sonia Clark's work in just a second because her work is amazing. And if you're going to lose to anybody, I highly recommend you lose to Sonia Clark. Sonia Clark's a brilliant artist, and her work is amazing. Go check her out. She works in hair and sugar and copper and all sorts of different things. If you're going to lose to anybody, lose to Sonia Clark. What's nice is when you lose, Sonia will buy you drinks at the bar later. So that's the end of my talk. Did I hit time? What time is it? Oh my goodness. That's a tight presentation.
Questions? Any questions?
Here and there and then there. What you got?
When you make an art piece and you think about what it means, oh shoot, I think I rephrased. I meant like when you make an art piece and you think about the meaning, like, do some pieces mean a lot more or less to you than others?
Yes. Meaning is a slippery thing. It's in writing parlance, it's known as a problem of authorship. What did Shakespeare mean when Shakespeare wrote Romeo and Juliet? How many of you have been told by well-meaning English professors what Romeo and Juliet means? What if I told you Shakespeare was really just saying, don't do drugs? You have no way of disproving it. So meaning for me is often different than meaning for you guys. What I hope is that I make work that is broad enough for people to connect with, that they can see some of themselves and bring their own meanings to some of my work. You've heard why I make my work. And broadly, I could point to any one of the pieces that I make and say this is what this one means. But across 25 years, I can tell you it means something to me. And it's a really good way to kind of make meaning in your life. And it's important. What type of stuff do you like to make?
Well, I'm a poet, so I do stories and blah, blah, blah.
So you're going to structure language in a way that makes me cry.
Yeah.
I hate you so much. But it's really good work. So I hope that she'll continue to do it. And it does mean things. When Maggie Smith tells me, I go online to my children and tell them that, like a real estate agent, this place is at least half good. It's got good bones. The world has good bones, says Maggie Smith. And that is poetics that makes me cry. And I hate her for it, but it's true. So as you bring poetry into the world, it will mean things to me, to other people. What's your question?
So I completely understand painting with fibers, for example. So were you ever able to answer the question from your early days professor, what is painting?
Yeah. Was I ever? Yes.
Because I have the same question for
Painting.
myself all the time.
Painting, okay, so there's lots of different types of paint. We're going to talk specifically about oil painting, which is what I was endeavoring to do. If you think about materials and think about what is the inherent quality of a material, oil paint is fatty and translucent, and guess what it emulates best? Us. So if you want to depict flesh, there are a few better things to do it in than oil paint. It is fatty and translucent like us, and it has a luminosity that manipulates the speed of light and does something in person that is unachievable by any other type of paint. And that's not to denigrate encaustic or casein or watercolor or whatever you happen to pick up, but you have to think about the inherent meaning of materials. For me, I found that in a lot of different materials, but I would say it's like whales. Remember when we used to kill whales? A lot? What did we kill them for? What do we do with whales? What do we want to kill them for? Perfume and candles. So think about this. A gigantic beast that splits the depths of the dark ocean with song. To sing across voids to one another. And we kill it and we render it into light. What a poor use of material. What does a whale want to be? I've seen whalebone turned into a sharp knife. Maybe it wants to steal, stab at the evil hearts of men. Maybe that's what a whale wants to be. And so I would ask you to question every material you pick up and be like, what does this material really want to be? What qualities does it have that amplify my ideas? Whether that's words, or oil, or cotton. Everything means something. It comes from someplace and it wants to collaborate with us as artists. And there was a question over there. Did you have a question? Do you remember?
Yes. On average, how long did it take you to make it?
How long? First, the singularity expanded, then things cooled. Hundreds of millions of years later, stars coalesced and ignited the universe. And we spiraled into matter. Entropically, we were not in a closed system. Energy rained down upon us from above, and we became something that could examine the universe. And here I am, in my garage, questioning what the universe is all about. It takes a long time sometimes. No, the physical, you're like, how long from start to stop? If I've devoted time, we make peace in 3 weeks. Typically, 5 months, half a year, takes to bang things out. Sometimes you have to pick up a baby. Sometimes you have a job to do. Sometimes you have to apply for shows. And that all eats into your studio time. Sometimes you have to sit down and listen to Pink Pony Club a couple times in a row. Just to center yourself, right?
Being in the context that we are, which is the college, and we have a lot of students, and we still students, how do you deal with process when you start a piece and it's a failure, or it's not working in the way you thought it should be working? How do you gauge yourself? How do you overcome
Usually
some
it's
of
my
those
fault.
blocks?
Like, the question is, what do you do when a piece is not going to be successful? You started a piece, right? Am I paraphrasing this correctly?
It's like you're starting the piece and it's not happening.
It's not happening.
It's not necessarily that you foresee that's going to be a success. It's
I
like,
don't
how do you
blame-
deal with the blocks? How do you deal with being paralyzed by the work?
I've got the long answer and the short answer. The short answer is usually it's my fault. I want the work to do something that the work is not supposed to do, and the work is trying to tell me I don't want to do that. So my job then is to listen and collaborate with the piece. What does the piece actually want from me? And usually the piece is trying to tell me. When I feel unsuccessful, it's the piece trying to tell me that you're doing things wrong. And that can be disheartening. It can lead to me staring at the wall and doing this a lot. But the trick to seeming like you're making a lot of work all the time, how many of you have stared at a blank canvas or a blank page? The tyranny of the blank page, the tyranny of the blank canvas. You don't have to do that. You can just do this. This is a notebook somebody gave me. It's Tom Sachs' official 10 bullets notebook, so it has things like metric to fraction conversions in the back, which are really nice. I write down some things in here to remember. Oh, there's lots of blank pages. Look at this. This is a wrench made out of denim. It's a snake at the same time. So I can make that, or maybe not. But I'm never devoid of ideas, because in the shower, when I'm washing my hair, crazy little snippets of ideas will float by, and I have this book that allows me to just jot them down, and if I think it's stupid later, I never make it. But it's here, and if I'm ever walking into the studio and facing the tyranny of the blank canvas or the tyranny of the blank page, I look back and say, are you okay? That's what my book says, right? Are you okay? Are you tired? So I always have a cookbook, a backlog. That's what sketching really is. Sketching isn't necessarily something that you do for your teachers. Sketching is a way of capturing ideas. Some of those ideas will prove fruitful. Some of those ideas are really stupid, but in 5 years you'll go, I know how to make that stupid idea a really better idea. And you're like, what if I made Zelda with animals? Is that called, what's the video game with it? Animal Crossing. Zelda with animals. That was in a notebook somewhere.
So I wanted to ask you a question about the subjects, the people that you choose to pick.
Good question.
How do you, I guess it's a multi-part question, who do you pick to pick? How do you decide on how to pose them, and then as you build them, are you trying to, imbue a message? Like I saw some script, like especially tattooing, etc. Was that already on the person, or is that something you're conveying?
You might have to keep them in your head. I'm going to try to address it. How do I pick the people I work with? Because I'm working with people's images, and I'm especially sensitive to the power that exerts over people's images, I only work with my family. Everyone you'll see in the show in here is my family, biological, also logical. There are the people that I'm blood related to who cannot disown me, or people that I know well enough that they trust me to depict them in the ways in which I depict people, which is vulnerable, which is true, which is sincere. It's not idealized. You'll see my mom in there. She doesn't have her wig on. She's in her nightgown. She's covering a cough. That's my mom. Not as she wants to be seen, not as the church ladies see her, but as I know her to be. And that's a really important thing for me. There was a second part to the question. Do you remember? How do you pose them?
How do you decide, like, how to pose them, or what poses they're in?
So I'm a trained artist, and often what I do is I like to think of composition as Snape's potion class. It's the deep art. You can ensnare the senses through composition. It is little understood and poorly taught. And composition is the type of thing that if you exploit correctly as an artist, you can literally do amazing things. Adrian, who's on the back wall, is a double posed. It's a twin pose. It says pure across it. Adrian, I did in direct response to the Flint water crisis. She's a historical Bacchus drinking pose from antiquity. She's a contemporary figure, but she's in a historic pose. Kind of tickles the
seen that before somewhere. And Bacchus is kind of like a god of the party, right? A god of wine and plenty, always drunk. Adrian's not, but I like the drinking metaphor. Pure is a reference to the water quality. There's in the bottom of it, entire inner tube, the artworks that spell out lies in black rubber inner tube. So it's pure lies altogether, which is what people were told when they were raised concerns about their water, was that it's fine. Continue to drink it. It's fine. We've tested it. Believe us. We're from the state. So pure lies together mixes topography. Do I have any graphic designers out there? Okay, so that's varsity. Varsity is fancy lettering for where I'm from. It's not Helvetica. It's not Swiss. It's varsity. And I made those letters myself on a moss stitch machine by hand so that I could spend time thinking about stabbing each of those threads in. And so the materials, the way they're made, the poses that I select to put people in, sometimes they're candid, sometimes they're more elaborate. It depends. It depends. Now I'm at a stage in my career where I'm making much more historic or historical references to kind of activate space in a more complicated manner a little bit. Just one question back in the back there.
I was thinking about that piece you showed that, if I heard correctly, was at a museum of contemporary craft. How do you feel your work relates to that context? How do you even feel about the word craft?
Oh, I love craft. Okay, so craft. For the uninitiated, the younger folks here won't understand the long battle between fine arts and craft. Fine arts was a very specific thing, specific activity. Extra secret bonus points if anybody in the crowd can shout out what fine art was 50 years ago.
Painting.
Of course, and painting and sculpture, not drawing. Sculpture, painting only. And not by women, and not by people of color. That was the high, dead men. Art museums, 3rd floor, dead white guys. You can look at the struggle of craft as a subversive movement to band together and to say our work has value too. And if you point to any craft community that has anything done well is done with art. And I learned craft from people like Sue Goodfellow, who when I was 8 years old, Sue was a devout Catholic and addicted to romance novels. I read so much smut at my neighbor's house. And she liked to knit. And for a curious 8-year-old who was like, how do you do that? She showed me. She sat down and literally showed me how to operate needles. And everybody I grew up with worked with their hands, and it was valued to be able to put an engine in a car, or to weld, or to knit, or to bake, were things that people that I grew up with valued as virtues. And those are the things that as an adult artist, I feel like I have more authority and access to, because there were the things that people I grew up with practiced. And so I would encourage you to look around and say, maybe there's things in my background that are underutilized, undervalued, that could be made artful. And Scott McCloud tells us that everything has an element of art to it. How many of you guys are ball sport fans? Watch the Super Bowl? Do you have strong opinions about away uniforms versus home uniforms? Do you know which team has the prettiest uniforms? It's art. In fact, you might say that football fandom is live action role playing. Got the name of my favorite character on my back. And that is art. It's not to denigrate the art form, it's to understand that everything has a touch of art with it. The NFL puts billions of dollars into its charitable organization. to make it more artful. And there isn't anything devoid of art. You might think survival must be devoid of art. Reproduction, sustenance, right? What do we call reproduction done artfully? Romance. What do we call food served beautifully? Cuisine. We have words for these art forms. And so everything that you interact with has a touch, quality of things that can be elevated. And so whether it's painting, which I love painting, or textile traditions and their gendered roles. It's unusual to see a cis, white, middle-aged man who loves to sew. I sincerely love to sew, and I am broadening what masculinity means by doing that. And it isn't to denigrate that it's a highly gendered space that I work in. It is traditionally seen. How do we denigrate something from art to craft? We say it's women's work.
We used to say that.
Yeah, but look at the great fashion designers you were. You know what I mean? And not only just Coco Chanel, but you're talking about great men, you know.
Coco Chanel.
You know, K pop down, you know.
Alexander McQueen.
There you go.
You know who makes Alexander McQueen's work look so awesome? Iris Van Herpen, and she rocks. And that's just a truism. I think I should probably wrap up with questions, but if you guys have more questions and would like to talk to me, corner me in the gallery over here. We'll let people stand up and kind of go to where they need to go. If you'd like to ask me a few more questions, I'm around and be happy to speak with you. Thank you for your time tonight.